question that philosophers and theologians have been trying to answer for centuries, but how would you define or describe the soul?
The soul to me is the largest perspective of who we really are. It's where we are connected to the larger life force or all that is or God. And it's a creative well of inspiration and knowing and knowledge. And for me, the spiritual journey has really been an interior journey where self-love merges with oneness deep inside of me. So it's a very intimate place.
And so what is the advantage of connecting to one's soul?
Well, for me, it has been increased joy, appreciation, awe, rapture, an identification with a soul purpose, and a freedom, really, to live comfortably within my own skin. And it did not happen overnight, and it's a journey that I will be on for the rest of my life. But at times, tremendous ecstasy and almost intoxicating freedom to be myself. And that is what I hope to offer my children.
And what I'm hearing is it's a wonderful way to cope with the stresses and strains of being a parent and having a family.
You know, it really is. I view myself from a very large, eternal, vast vantage point, and I view others that way as well. So there's less of a need to blame and go through victimhood, because ultimately I believe that, that I'm eternal. So.
And how does one find one's soul, or how does one connect with the soul of another?
Well, finding mine, really, it was just, I read I was always a very contemplative child, but I read some books when I was 19 that literally left me breathless and sobbing, actually, with joy, because for the first time I became aware that I do have this deep inner space within me that is a compass.
Do you remember the titles?
Yes. One was Shakti Gawan's Living in the Light.
Yes, I read
and the
that.
other was by Richard Bach, A Bridge Across Forever. And
I read that too.
I was 19, and my parents were going through a very difficult divorce. So a lot of this work is being cracked wide open by some of the challenges in life, which ultimately offer tremendous gifts.
Well, do you think as an adults that we can teach our parents to have soul-to-soul parenting? You know, my father's going to be 83. I wonder, can I use soul-to-soul parenting?
Yeah, you know, to me, it's nurture and hold space and see his soul. The greatest healing to offer another soul really ever is to see them and feel their highest potential, even if no words are exchanged. So for me, it's never about pulling other people along. It's just sharing my authenticity, and if it resonates and helps people, then wonderful.
Do you think every parent is capable of being a soul-to-soul parent?
Oh, yes. Even if you don't, like I said, just sit down and say, okay, we're going to work on the theme of self-love today. As you become more in touch with self-love yourself and go down the path, it naturally and organically seeps into what you offer your children, just through the energy that's in your home. Even if you don't follow one step, talk about one theme, if you begin to go down the path yourself of knowing yourself better, I think it makes a tremendous difference for your kids. It gives them permission to do the same.
Now, both you and your husband were trained as teachers. I think your husband still is a teacher?
He is. He teaches biology at New Trier High School in Winnetka and is a soccer coach.
And so how do you think your education experience as a teacher influenced the writing of your book?
Definitely somewhat. I'm a teacher by nature. Even as a child, I knew that I would become a teacher. Now I'm teaching women and parents about spirituality. I'm not in the 4th grade classroom anymore. But you know, as parents, we're all teachers in our own way. To me, we're moving into a time where you don't need to have a master's or a PhD to offer your truth to others and be a teacher in your own right. So that's what I want to emphasize a lot too with our children, to follow your passion and offer that to the world.
Okay. Now, speaking of following your passion, before the show I asked you about the cover of your book, and if there was any significance to it. Would you say a few words about the book's cover?
Yes. This painting was done by one of my spiritual teachers in the city, in the Lincoln Square area. She's a channeler. And she did 3 empowerment paintings, and I fell in love with them and purchased them. And they actually surrounded me out on my desk while I wrote the book and brought me tremendous inspiration. I was just really drawn to them.
And so why this particular drawing or painting?
Well, I loved the colors and the vibrancy, and to me it represents a mother and a child in butterfly transformation and being intimate with one another. So that's, I think, what really drew me to the painting.
And what happens when someone is not soul-to-soul parenting? What's the downside to that?
Well, you know, we're each here. I don't believe there's necessarily a downside. We're hopefully all doing the best that we can. I parent through sports and all the different ways that my husband and I offer children, and I do believe that this soul-to-soul aspect of our parenting will be the best of what we've offered our children in the years when we're parenting side by side under the same roof. This knowing of who they really are, and that they have the capacity to create their passion in life and follow their bliss.
Now, if a parent is using the soul-to-soul parenting method, what signs should the parent see in the children that it's working and effective?
I think, again, not necessarily you don't bump up against each other because you get your emotions out. The home is a safe place for that. But I think an openness. My daughter was just listening to music the other day, and music really is a gateway for me to feel connected. And she said, "Mom, I was listening to this song, just a normal pop song, and I got that feeling. It brought tears to my eyes." And for her, an inner feeling of joy and connection and openness and inspiration. So little things like that.
I would also say living in the moment.
Yeah, a presence.
A being, yeah, which is hard with kids because there's so much stimulation, so much emphasis on doing and being active instead of just enjoying, life's simple pleasures.
So it takes a conscious effort, again, to balance the exterior world, which we all love and appreciate, with an